found this painting by a German artist, and it's a picture of rooftops, I'm assuming in London, it looks like it's in London, and he's got a tightrope, and so he's out in the center off the roof, it's tied to the roof, and he's holding one end of the rope, and the other rope end is connected to the house, and he's walking on it. And so that whole visual is just like, this is what we're doing, that's what the trust is, to be able to walk out there trusting that you're not gonna fall. The pianist is Peter Brown, and he is going to come in and see the piano for the first time and then improv based on the patterns that he sees. I thought it would be interesting to meld music with the art. Whether or not it's pleasing or not pleasing, that piece of artwork wanted to come into existence in a particular way, and who am I to say that that's wrong? There is no music. There's only whatever's inside of you that comes out of you in that moment. It just really unfolds so beautifully because the thoughts just go away and the breathing just happens. I teach Zentangle pattern drawing, and so it's non-representational, which means it doesn't look like a bird or a house or a tree or a lamp. So any which way you turn, there's no up, no down, and you end up taking patterns and putting them together in whatever way you want, really. It's magical. I always tell my students, I'm teaching to draw lines, but that's not really what this is about. This is a practice. We're practicing on this piece of paper as a safe way to practice in real life. I was a closet artist for many, many, many years. I was a practicing attorney. I was a prosecutor for many years. And practicing law I absolutely loved, but it wasn't at all creative for me. And while I was practicing law, I actually had a box that with all my art supplies in it. It was a cardboard box and it was in the closet and it said "Free Me" on it because it just wanted to explode, but I didn't know how to make that happen because all I did was practice law. All I did was work, 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 and worry about work. I actually became chronically ill for 4 years, which in my opinion was my body's way of telling me that I was not doing what I needed to be doing. There are no mistakes in Zentangle, and me as a reforming perfectionist and as this uptight prosecutor personality that I used to be, it's taken me a long time to just kind of sift through those layers of tension and control and to be able to just be free. And so that's one of the really healing and wonderful things I love about Zentangle is that there are no mistakes, there's no erasing. And so every time that I make a mark that is not what I had intended to do. It's just, I call it a happy opportunity or a happy accident to create something new and unexpected. So if I always find that if I make a mark that was unexpected and then I end up embracing it back into the whole of the entire piece, that I create something that I never would have been able to create had I actually thought about doing it.
Graduated law school in '97. I clerked for the juvenile court in Massachusetts for a year. In '98, I went to the Middlesex District Attorney's office. I was in a trial court prosecutor for 6 months, mostly domestic violence cases, Waltham, Massachusetts. And then I went to the appellate division for 5.5 years. I loved prosecution. Loved it. And if I could do it emotionally, I would still be doing it. My dream was to work for the U.S. Attorney's Office. But I realized that that was not going to happen when I actually had the opportunity when I was in New Hampshire to become a special assistant U.S. attorney, which is where you get kind of special permission as a state prosecutor to work on a federal case. And I, of course, had to go through the entire background check process, which means that they send you this big, long form to fill out with all these questions, and then they send people, I think this only happens in the movies, but it actually happens. They send people to your neighbors and your family, and they ask questions about you, and it was such an invasion of privacy, I felt, that even though I really wanted the job, I couldn't go through it. And at that point I said, that's it, you're done. There's no, like, this is your dream job and you want it, but you can't go through the process. That's a huge sign that this is not where you need to be. I'm way too sensitive emotionally. I took everything home with me. Dreamed about murder defendants. I thought about it all the time. It takes a very special personality to be in a confrontational environment like that all the time and be able to separate it out, and I just wasn't able to do it. And I also worked nonstop. I would get completely nervous whenever anybody would ask me, you know, in a job interview or a cocktail conversation, what do you do for fun? And I would freeze. Like, oh my gosh, I work. All I do is work. I don't do anything. I don't know what fun is. I don't know how to play. And that's something that Zentangle has really given back to me. And there was just so much responsibility. You know, dealing with somebody's life all the time, even if it's a shoplifting case, you know, putting them in jail, you're changing their lives. And that was just, it was way too much. And I don't have that here. Drawing on a piano is all very easy. Because, you know, if I draw a line where I don't want it to, no one gets hurt, no one goes to jail, no one goes to the hospital, there's no blood, there's no money. It's just me drawing a line and being able to, I read something recently about when something is out of balance. I just love this. When something is out of balance, you embrace it back into the whole. And so if a line goes crazy, I just embrace it back into the whole. and make it look like I meant it. Your hand just is able to create more skillful strokes the more you use it. And so you don't have to practice, you don't have to think about it. You do think about it, in fact, it actually usually makes it worse and makes the experience less fun and enjoyable. And this whole taking the thinking out of doing things and having delightful results is just so freeing and empowering. And so it took me a long time to think about, and there's a lot of, this always sounds shallow when I say this, there's a lot of status and identity that's tied up with being an attorney. And it took me a long time to consider that and think about, what it would mean for me until I was able to let it go. And actually, honestly, I wasn't allowed to let it go. The process was such that I walked into my office every day for a month and couldn't do a single thing. I just barely did what I had to get by so no one would find out that I was doing absolutely nothing. And finally felt so guilt-ridden about it. I went into my boss's office, who fortunately was also a friend, and said, I've been doing nothing for a month, and I have trials and depositions and deadlines, and it's all really bad. And I thought, this is what malpractice looks like. This is what it looks like before it becomes malpractice. And I never understood that before. Now I have a very good sense of how that happens. And so he said, well, we'll rearrange this. We won't give you any more civil cases, because that's what I was really struggling with. And I was elated the next day, but that only lasted for about a week. And then I was back to feeling trapped. And so that's when I decided that it was time to go. What I'm always looking for is just the chance to inspire people to follow what they're passionate about. And if drawing is one of those things, then I hope that seeing this project, sparks an idea in somebody else that views this film and really gives them the confidence that's necessary for them to go out and express their truth through art or line or music or whatever it is. Because for a long time, I totally kept that part of me shut down, and I really believe that that's why I was so sick for so long. And now I feel like almost everything, in fact, everything about Art Entangled is just delightful and special and wonderful, and it took all the darkness out of what I was doing.